In week 5, our focus was comprehensible input, and we started off our discussion looking at Krashen and identifying this term comprehensible input coming from his work in the mid-80s. And although we're not going to necessarily get into all of Krashen's hypotheses, we do want to look at comprehensible input, really looking at what we can do as teachers to make what we say more comprehensible, making it easier for the students to understand what we're doing. So this week we spent a lot of time practicing and looking at how we can use facial expressions, nonverbal communication, hand gestures, body movements, eye contact, the use of repetition, even slowing down our pace quite a bit so that our English language learners who are taking our content courses have a better chance at understanding what we want to say. So we focus primarily on what we can do by ourselves, and we recognize that in a real classroom we might also use supplementary materials, we might use other visuals, but we really wanted to focus this week taking that out of the picture and just really looking at what we can do by ourselves, again, to make what we're saying and make it a little bit easier for our learners to understand. So we looked at or shared some videos here and really focused a lot on how we pronounce words, how we enunciate, opening our mouths, making sure that we, in some cases, even over-articulate what we're trying to say so that we are, again, are making ourselves understood. So these videos here kind of share some practical examples and how you can go about looking at your own speech, how you address your students, how you give instructions, and might even compare it how you might do it in Spanish, but realizing that you're probably going to need to slow down quite a bit. In fact, that was one of the main points we wanted to get out of some of our classroom activities where we were practicing giving instructions for a performance task where we could make sure that we're making our instructions very clear and that we're, again, using the use of repetition and slowing down what we have to say. We don't want our students to say, I don't like the way my teacher explained this activity, or I don't understand what he's saying, my teacher talks way too fast, my teacher does not give me enough time to respond. And giving the time for your students to respond is another aspect we're going to continue to discuss. We didn't talk a lot about it this week because a lot of times that involves questioning. And of course, questioning is a very good tool that we use in our classroom and that we'll practice in this course. But we didn't focus a lot on it, and we'll focus a little bit more on that a little bit later on, and we'll kind of come back to pace. Pace really looks at both how you use your speech, but also the time that you give your students to respond. So we included here in this week, but we'll be talking more about that a little bit later. And we also don't want our students to feel like they're not sure what they need to do first. After the instructions have been given, we want to make sure that it's clear, obviously, that the students know what to do first. So this week, those were the main topics. We can also look at techniques to make content more comprehensible. This is kind of an extension of what we talked about in prior weeks with regard to supplementary material and, again, adapting that material. But this is the focus for this week, and we'll be discussing comprehensible input really throughout the rest of this course, coming back and looking at pace, repetition, and other key concepts so that our English language learners have a better chance at success.